Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today, Athena Technology Acquisition Corp, the SU, or ATEKW, as it is traded, just filed an 8K report, and it looks like they are officially extending their deadline to find a company to buy, and I am seeing a pretty common pattern here. Quick note, this is not financial advice, just my take on public filings for educational purposes. Basically, this filing is all about keeping the company alive a little longer to complete its main goal, which is to buy another company. They are showing us they are working on it, but it is taking more time than they originally planned. So, on the 11th of June 2026, Athena Technology Acquisition Corp, the SU held a meeting with its shareholders. The big news from this meeting is that they've officially changed their company rules, called their charter, to give themselves more time. Instead of needing to buy another company by the 14th of June 2026, they can now take up to 9 more months, pushing that deadline to the 14th of March 2027. This change is a pretty big deal for a company like this. Athena Technology Acquisition Corp, the key, or simply ATM Athena as it is often called, is what is known as a Special Purpose Acquisition Company, or SPAC. SPACs are created specifically to raise money through an initial public offering, or IPO, and then use that money to buy another existing company. They essentially exist to acquire another business, and they have a limited time to do it. If they don't find a company to buy and complete the deal within that time frame, they usually have to return the money to their investors. So this filing is them using one of the options to get more time. They've amended their charter to allow for these monthly extensions. Now, here's where it gets interesting and a bit of a warning sign for investors. To get these monthly extensions, the company sponsors, which is Athena Technology sponsored through LLC in this case, have to put more money into a special trust account. They have to deposit either $25,000 or $0.02 for every share of their class of common stock that hasn't been redeemed yet. This is essentially the cost of buying more time. Think about it this way. If a SPAC is struggling to find a deal or get a deal approved, they might have to keep paying money just to extend their life. This money is coming from the sponsors, but it shows they are trying hard to make a deal happen. For investors, this extra cost can be a signal that the company isn't finding promising acquisition targets easily, or that existing shareholders are cashing out their shares, which reduces the amount the sponsors have to pay for extensions. And speaking of shareholders cashing out, this filing also tells us that some shareholders did just that. Over 11,000 shares of Class A common stock were redeemed. That means those shareholders took their money back from the trust account. This results in about $138,000 being withdrawn from the trust account. This is also a common occurrence for SPACs nearing their deadline, as investors might not be confident a deal will be struck. The very next day, the 12th of June, they actually made one of these required deposits. They deposited a little over $271 into the trust account to get their first monthly extension, moving their deadline from the 14th of June to the 14th of July of 2026. This is the first of up to 9 possible monthly extensions they can take. Let's look at the voting results for the proposal to extend the deadline. It is pretty clear here. Out of the shares voted, a massive 9835330 shares voted for extending the deadline. There were 0 votes against it, 0 abstentions, and 0 broker non-votes. This tells us that pretty much all the shareholders who participated in the vote were in favor of giving the company more time. This high level of agreement makes sense because if the deadline passes without an extension, the SPAC would likely liquidate and return the remaining funds to shareholders. So extending the deadline gives them a chance to still see a return if a deal is completed. Now, for the exhibits, you'll see Exhibit 3.1, which is the actual document showing the changes to their charter. And Exhibit 104 is the interactive data file, which is pretty standard for these filings. And finally, the signature section confirms that this report is being filed on behalf of Athena Technology Acquisition Corp, the SU. It is signed by Isabel Friedheim, who is the Chief Executive Officer. The date of the filing is the 12th of June 2026. So, what does this all mean? Athena Technology Acquisition Corp, ATEKW, is exercising its option to extend its life by buying more time to find a company to acquire. They've got shareholder approval to push their deadline up to March of 2027, and they've just made their first 1-month extension payment. The fact that shareholders overwhelmingly approved this extension and that the sponsors are willing to put in money to keep the SPAC alive shows there is still some intention to get a deal done. However, this pattern of extensions is very common for SPACs that are struggling to find a deal. It means they are burning time and potentially burning cash if the extension payments become significant. For investors, this filing signals that the search for an acquisition target is ongoing, but it hasn't been an easy one. We've seen many SPACs go through multiple extensions, and historically, a significant number of SPACs that require extensions don't ultimately find a target, or the deal they do find doesn't perform well post-merger. Think about the general SPAC boom a few years ago, followed by a lot of SPACs struggling to find good deals, and many ending up liquidating. The real question now is what company will they find, and will that acquisition prove to be valuable? The risk here is that they'll keep paying for extensions and eventually run out of runway without a successful merger. Or worse, merge with a company that isn't a good investment. This filing itself doesn't give us a lot of financial numbers to dive into since it is purely about administrative changes and deadline extensions, but it is a key update for anyone following this particular SPAC. Oh, and the research tools I actually use are linked in the description. They help keep this channel going. That is my take. Stay decoded. If you found this valuable, please like, subscribe, and join our Discord community linked below.